Motivation is unreliable, and I don't trust my willpower to get work done. Instead, I rely on systems and processes. Over time, through trial and error, I have developed a system for myself which pushes me to get work done even when I don't feel like doing it or lack the motivation to do so. If you struggle with those sorts of issues as well, make sure to watch this video till the very end to figure out how you can build such a system for yourself. Hi guys, I'm Nikhil Charan and today we are talking about the productivity system which I use to keep myself somewhat organized and a little more efficient than I could have been without this system. In this video, we'll go over what a productivity system is, the benefits of having it and why you actually need one, and finally, how do you build a productivity system. This video is divided into chapters, also the timestamps are given in the description, so feel free to skip around if you wish to. Starting with the what. A productivity system is a system of tools and devices which helps you get more work done in less time. It helps you manage your tasks and keep track of your progress, and it makes your execution more effective. The main idea behind having a productivity system is beautifully summarized in this quote by David Allen. Your brain is for having ideas, not for holding them. The idea is that you don't need to remember any sort of information. You can just write it down somewhere in an app or a piece of paper and free up your mental bandwidth to help you be more efficient. The way we accomplish this is by having everything we need to do written down somewhere, either in a calendar or in a task list, which then we can refer throughout the day without ever worrying about if we forgot something. If something is not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. And this one little trick is alone like 50% of the whole productivity game. How do you build a productivity system? Essentially, a productivity system contains three parts: a to-do list, a calendar, and a notebook. For a to-do list, there are a few different tools that you can use. The most basic one is just to keep a small diary and pen with you wherever you go, and use it like an inbox to capture your ideas as soon as possible. Anything and everything starts here. Later on, when you have the time, you can organize it across the various pillars of your productivity system. Keeping a diary is a simple and straightforward way of doing it, but I prefer the digital alternative to it, which is to use a to-do app. And that's because to-do apps have some very compelling advantages over their analog counterparts. Your tasks/ideas sync across all your devices, and you have the ability to set reminder alerts and notifications, which come in very handy. Now, this is simple but not easy. It is extremely hard to make that effort to write every small thing down as soon as it comes to your mind. And even if you miss like some little things, that could potentially render this whole thing useless. So, the trick is to reduce the resistance between having a thought and writing it down. The way I do it is to have a reminders widget on my phone's home screen that I use to immediately enter any useful information that I need to access later. And later, when I have some free time, I figure out where that piece of information should go. If it's an event, it goes to my calendar. If it's a YouTube video idea, it goes to my content database in Notion. Or if it's just a task that I need to do at some point in the future, I set a reminder which reminds me whenever needed. I use the built-in reminder app on iOS. It's easy to use and just gets the job done. I haven't had any major issue with it yet, but if you're using Android or want an alternative, you can check out Todoist, which is the app I was using before I switched to iOS. Next, we need a calendar. It could be a physical or a digital one. Again, I prefer using a digital calendar just for its conveniences, but the tools don't really matter. Using them is all what matters. I use Google Calendar, which is free and more importantly, also better than any other calendar system I've ever used. I'll tell you something, on every phone that I ever used, the calendar app is probably the most neglected app. I rarely opened it, sometimes accidentally, but ever since I started using it, there hasn't been a single day when I didn't check my calendar. This is such an underrated and overlooked app, not just for this productivity system that we're talking about, but in general as well. Around January of this year, I was reading this fantastic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And if there's one thing that I took away from it, it's that I started wishing people on their birthdays. And the calendar app has come in extremely handy. So whenever I meet a friend or a relative or anyone who's in my contacts app and I don't know their birthday, I indirectly somehow ask them about their birthday and update their contacts card. And so when it's their birthday, I'll send them a nice greeting and they'll think, oh, Nikhil has managed to put in so much effort to remember my birthday. That's nice. The productivity system side of having a calendar boils down to a technique known as time blocking, which is that you organize your days or weeks or even months beforehand and allot certain blocks of time in your calendar to whatever things you need to get done. And so you'll never have a moment of, oh, I'm free now. Let's figure out what tasks do I have pending. Because if there's any, you would already have them in your calendar. The final pillar of this system is a notebook or an app that you can use like a notebook, which for me is Notion. It's just like a notebook but even better. Notion is where I organize everything from my YouTube videos to my book notes and everything in between. So that was it for today. If you liked the video, a sub to the channel would be productive. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.